Right, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, in its latest consumer price review, the Nigerian's inflation rate recorded its biggest increase in 2020, as it has now risen to 13.22% in August 2020, which is the highest so far, because it's higher than 12.82% that was recorded in July 2020. And with the figure released by the National Bureau of Statistics, coupled with how government is still strategizing to fully stabilize the economy after a national lockdown, should there be any cause for alarm? Well, development expert will let us know the real situation at the course of the program. And recently, the federal government launched a 75 billion naira MSME survival fund to achieve growth and development in the sector. Isn't that jarring? And it's quite inspiring, by the way, because businesses are going to pick up after being so affected by the pandemic. Business 24 camera caught up with some would-be beneficiaries, and don't be in a hurry to know what their response are, by the way. And does entrepreneurship have a role to play in actualizing this dream? I mean the Small Businesses Survival Fund that the federal government has launched. All of these are the focus of Business 24. I'm Comfort and Modu, and we are welcoming you to Business 24. Our regular segment, that is Export Tips and Capital Market Review, will be brought to you at the cost of the program, as they will be adding an extra touch. Don't go away, we'll come back from the break and we will give you details of our lineup soon. Welcome back. We now begin with the Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation that rose by 0.40% between July and August 2020, and that's a year-on-year basis, the highest increase recorded since October 2016. Well, this has seen August inflation rate rising to 13.22%. Chimobi Walter Naji has been monitoring the development and is waiting to give us an expert opinion on this development.
The August 2020 Consumer Price Index and the inflation report released by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) puts the rate of inflation at 13.22%. That is 0.09% more than the 12.82% recorded in July. The last time Nigeria's inflation rate hit this mark was in March 2018, when the economy was recovering from the 2016 recession and inflation rate was on a decline from the 18% recorded during the recession. In spite of this downturn, some stakeholders believe Nigeria is doing well in its handling of the economy and advise efforts be sustained to ensure the economy doesn't go overboard.
This performance of minus 6.1% is a good performance in the sense that it is better than what we had projected second quarter performance to be at 7.2%. This performance also is a good performance because it outperforms the projections that have been done by the Brentwood institutions, but also it outperforms very developed economies of the world and also economies that are comparable to us. The rollout of the Economic Sustainability Plan has seen us starting to implement major public works across the country to ensure that people are employed or kept in jobs.
We thought the results were going to be worse than they have come out, and we are happy that they are not as bad as we were projecting, because it goes to show that the steps that government had been taking have been working, and that is why they did not get as bad as we projected. And it gives us a basis on which to work. All we can do now is, now that we know that we not get as low as we projected, we have an opportunity now to continue to do what we're doing, because obviously it's working, and to continue to do that to get us out of the mess that we are in as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The urban inflation rate increased by 13.83% year-on-year in August 2020 from 13.40% recorded in July 2020. while the rural inflation rate increased by 12.65% in August 2020 from 12.28% in July. The composite food index also rose by 16.0% in August 2020 compared to 15.48% in July 2020. According to the MBS, the rise in food index was caused by an increase in prices of food items. Experts are of the opinion that more can be done to further drive down inflationary figures in the coming months. In Abuja, Chimubi Walter Nnaji for Business 24.
Great insight there. And moving on, the federal government launched 75 billion naira small and medium enterprises survival fund that target 35,000 individuals per state by the federal government. Business 24 sought to know some of the reactions of would-be beneficiaries of this scheme, and this is what we found out. Like most global economies, Nigerian economy was not immune from the shocks brought by coronavirus pandemic on small and micro businesses. These saw the introduction of stimulus packages to boost the economy and improve livelihoods by the federal government.
The rollout of the Economic Sustainability Plan has seen us starting to implement major public works across the country to ensure that people are employed or kept in jobs.
We've identified 9 priority items that we think are being produced in most states, and we will sort of place an order and purchase these items, like the hand sanitizers, the masks, disinfectants, and so on and so forth.
The government is going ahead with disbursement of a 60 billion naira support package for an initial period of 3 months. It also launches guaranteed offtake scheme for small and micro businesses under its 2.3 trillion naira Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan. Kabiru Yakubu is excited at the prospect of this timely support.
We are really excited by this government support to operators of small businesses. COVID-19 affects our market seriously in the face of rising cost of basic amenities.
For Ezekiel Akogu and Mohammed Hussaini, the payroll support that targets 100,000 businesses and 500,000 beneficiaries for salaries ranging from 30,000 to 50,000 couldn't have come at a better time.
By the time of pandemic, we were sitting down, the business is shut down, there is nothing happening. We don't have anything doing. Nobody is buying, no sales at all. So this idea they bring now is very good. It can help us improve.
And you can see from about 6 or 4 months, Nigerians' economy is somehow down. And with this surviving fund, a lot of business will be able to come up, and it's a welcome development.
My business is registered, and I'm hopefully praying for Nigerians to get involved, because it's a very giant strike. The federal government has tried enough. If I'm lucky to be part of it, I will be glad.
The stimulus package for MSMEs across Nigeria also targets traders at the grassroots.
What we intend to do at the media level is to roll out jingles, and these jingles are in English, Pidgin, Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba, being the major languages in the country, so that people in that state, no matter their location, if they cannot access website, and for even those people who cannot fill in the forms online, they can come to the health centers. We will have some aggregators who will be able to help them to fill those forms and to submit it.
The conditional grant is estimated to support approximately 1.3 million jobs across the Federation.
Given the number of the MSMEs we have in Nigeria, which is about 41 million MSMEs in Nigeria, and the consultants, those that developed the portal, we have made them to look at that estimate, so that whatever portal they are developing, they will develop it in such a way that it contains millions of people and it will not crash. We want to encourage MSME to formalize, And this registration exercise by the CAC has reduced the burden of registration, especially business name registration. It doesn't cost much, and you can go online, register your business, and you can get your certificate 24 hours.
With federal government's renewed vigor to boost the production capacities of small businesses, MSMEs affected by the pandemic may well be on their way to recovery. When the populace, especially the youth, are gainfully engaged, we can therefore say there is hope in sight for economic growth. How realistic is this? Kule Adeya is earnestly waiting to tell us.
With Nigeria's swelling population, being gainfully engaged is becoming competitive and a survival of the fittest. Experts believe that limited white-collar jobs make entrepreneurship a viable option of addressing unemployment in the country. In their opinion, now that developed economies have contracted due to effects of COVID-19, government policies and programs should now tilt towards promotion of entrepreneurship. Business 24 came in contact with Oyinkansola Okewoye, who is now an employer of labor. She started a small business with 20,000 naira, which has now grown to having a range of products, including skincare lotions. She emphasized that despite the success she has recorded, she still contends with some challenges.
The major challenge for me now is funds. Being able to have access to funds, to be able to get my NAFDAC so that I can be able to sell my products to, sell it all over Nigeria. Trained over 10 now, and they are on their own doing so well. Start something, look around. They look around you. There is a need you can meet. So look around you. There is a lot we have in Nigeria that you can have access to, and it's just for me, like Gari Jebu now. Everyone wants Gari Jebu, and what did I do? I had to think outside of the box and had to source it and package it properly and started selling.
Does government have any role to play to ensure that small business owners are encouraged?
There is a need for us to come up to, or craft a bill, or come up to the bill that will support the development of the entrepreneurship skills of these young people. The way I have been looking at it more is to focus more on the NYSC. I see that as the proper vehicle to use to harness the creative potentials of these young lads, if I may call it that. What we need now is skill development, entrepreneurship, and something for these youths, because these white-collar jobs that they are looking for is not really available as much as possible. And what we are looking at is to craft a bill that will now make the year post their graduation that will be focused on like a 1-year program of skill acquisition.
A professor of entrepreneurship, Olalekan Sakariao, has urged government to make its economic policies and programs entrepreneurship friendly. He said an entrepreneur-friendly economy will help create jobs and contribute to GDP growth and promote social cohesion.
Entrepreneurship is a great thing, and it's a global word, it's a global practice. And funding you also mentioned is also very important and so very strategic in business. The capital, the only thing is that most people could not x-ray what capital is all about. The funding we are talking about can be analyzed, and that is the way we should look at it entrepreneurially. The aspect of funding is not only in cash or capital in such a way that we'll be talking of money. What is the purpose of that money? That is where entrepreneurship come out. Entrepreneurial funding will give you the analysis that what do you need the money for?
Good to hear this once again. If not for the restriction on international movement triggered by COVID-19, the African Continental Free Trade Area would have taken off in July 2020. Now that the lockdown is gradually being eased in the continent, the takeoff might not be too far. And invariably goods from other African countries will find its way into the shores of the country, while products from Nigeria will be there unhindered as a result of the agreement. Do you have plans to export? Listen to this export tips because it will serve as a guide when you need one.
The WTO, in its treaty in 1995, came up with what we call the General Agreement of Trade in Services. They call it the GATS. And under the GATS, four modes of supply of services has been identified. There are four modes. And the first mode is cross-border supply. For cross-border supply, it just means that the exporter is in Nigeria, is providing services, and that services is consumed across the border in another territory. So the producer of the service is here, but the consumer is in another country. So very good examples abound. I have a friend that runs an outsourcing company, and what she does is, our office is in Mabushi here. What she does really is to provide briefs. She does legal outsourcing of legal companies abroad, lawyers, firms. They outsource briefs to her. She produces it. She has lawyers working for her. They do legal work. They have clients in America, they have in the UK, they have in Japan, and they're expanding every day. She also does IT outsourcing. So she's right here in Nigeria. She's providing services abroad. They do customer service on the phone. And companies abroad have outsourced that to her in Nigeria. So really, what she's trying to do is to step up her game, ensure that she sets up the kind of system that works well. Nothing must be down at any time. Because the customers of the American company, when they call to make complaints, is actually coming to Nigeria, and our girls are the ones picking those calls. So it requires a lot of standardization, honestly. The second is consumption abroad. That means that the consumer of that service is consuming it where that service is provided. And that is where tourism comes in. Growing businesses, they're setting up training platforms, and they're setting it up to go global. So we have people in India taking their courses in India, whereas they're seated here and they're producing the content. So you can start thinking of that. That's an export of service. The third mode is commercial presence. And it means that that particular organization takes itself and sets up itself in another territory across the border. So we have that with our banks. And mode 4 is presence of natural persons. So in that case, the human itself moves from its territory to another, from one country to another. So we can look at maybe consultants in that regard. So I'm physically present in other territory. I offer a service and I'm paid. Most of us don't understand this much, and probably because we hear export and we keep hearing goods, and we're racking our brain. How do I get shea butter from Abuja to Lagos? You're thinking of the logistics. You're really wondering. Trust me, we have a lot of Nigerians that are very brilliant that could create products. In fact, we have young people creating apps every day, apps on the phone, and anyone could pick their phone abroad and use that service. You are here, you're providing a service, you design an app, and anybody in the world can use it. Yes, we do physical trainings. Can you start thinking of taking it online, really? And designing something so good that even those abroad can begin to tap into what you have. So let's not think that we cannot do it. That's what I would say. When it comes to services export, there's someone that has leveraged on the value, on the human capital that we have available in Nigeria today, and has been able to become a brand to showcase to the world that Nigeria also has lots of very good stuff to offer when it comes to services.
In recent times, there have been some dynamics in the capital market. How did it go this week? Let's join Professor of Capital Market, Uche Waleke from University of Nasarawa State for the Capital Market Review.
this week's performance was mixed. Mixed in the sense that we had 2 days of appreciation. All share index appreciated on Monday by 0.05%, and it's also closing on a positive note by I think 1.5%. But these gains have not been enough to obliterate the losses we had on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So, as it were, the bears, had an upper hand. The week on week, we are recording a drop of about 0.08% in the all share index. That should be expected. I had predicted here, a while ago that we are bound to see these mixed performances, especially given the fact that previously we had 3 consecutive weeks of unbroken appreciation in all share index, and usually when the market goes up like that, you should also expect that some people will see some profit opportunities in that kind of trend and will want to sell. You also recall that before now, a number of companies had announced impressive performances, including payments of dividend, announced payment of dividend payments. And usually what follows after the announcement is what we call the ex-dividend date, that the stocks are marked down. Marked down means stocks are reduced by the values of those dividends, and then thereafter, dividends are paid. So investors who desire to be part of the dividend payment or the dividend announcements by these companies usually buy stocks, before the ex-dividend date. So what you see happening now is essentially profit taking is at play. A number of investors are, trying to take profit because prices had risen. Secondly, if you also look at the trend in the performance of our markets, the equities market in particular, September is the end of the third quarter, and it's not usually very strong. It's not usually a very strong month, in terms of market appreciation, and that sell pressure, most of the time persists or lingers even into the fourth quarter, first quarter of the year, and sometimes, dragging up till December, because what you find happening now, or usually about this time, is that people try to sell stocks in order to, to get, if you like, liquidity preference, to get some cash to solve some problems or some challenges, particularly in this year that COVID-19, is being experienced. What is happening now is that economies are restarting. In Nigeria too, the economy is gradually being restarted. Flight operations have commenced. Schools are resuming gradually. So what you find happening is that people are selling, to be able to pay school fees, to be able to travel, to be able to do one thing or the other. So as I said earlier on, I expect this sentiments by investors to persist for a while. So that's expected. Next week too, we are also expecting, some mixed performance. But in all of this, as prices go down, for example, as I said, this week, is a loss of a marginal loss though. But as prices, begin to go down, they also present opportunities, for investors who are able to identify good stocks.
Thank you so much, Professor Uche Walike, for your expertise. We're glad to always have you around to review the markets as always. And thank you, our viewers, for being part of this week's episode of Business Info. Be sure to join the conversation on our social media handle and send us your feedback, because we would like to know what you think about Business 24. And remember, we can also promote your businesses, so get across to us so that we can talk business with you. Until next week, I'm Comfort and Modu on behalf of the production crew. Stay blessed.